Are you ready for some news? Are you ready for some news? Ladies and gentlemen, it's that time. The good news, the bad news, and the other shit. The good news, the bad news, the other shit, we're rolling into the holiday seasons, and that means that we have to endure certain things, one of which turned out to be the president's speech to the troops. You know, only an asshole like the president can take a situation like this, where it's just really about honoring the men and women who serve in our armed forces, and turn it into a political moment for himself. You know, it's simply amazing to me because it goes beyond this the selfishness that I've had to endure from other people. Right. He sets a new standard all the time. But in this time, let us take that moment to remind ourselves, too, that as these holiday seasons begin, that for a bunch of us, they're still hard at work, okay? And that preparing for the holidays in Puerto Rico, the U.S. Virgin Islands, parts of Florida, and Texas is really, really rough.
Yeah.
But in some places, it's absolutely
right
desperate.
Yeah, it's still going.
Well, we're thinking about trees and all that stuff, and their issue is really running water,
right,
and electricity,
right, and amazing that you don't really get to see from their perspective the coverage. Now, of course, they leave it up to media to frame stories, but it's easy to go to the stories where you can point to here, look at what's happening, the provisions that's being, being handed out and supporting certain areas. But they're not going to go and show you the areas where people are really, these people over here died. You just won't get that from them. To me, I just believe they say, look, you don't need to show that. Just show what we are efforting our ways and what we're doing. And they're going to be dropped off into oblivion pretty soon, if not already.
So I guess we got to gear up for this kind of giving this Christmas. I'm really trying to sit back and do some thinking myself,
right,
as to what kind of giving I want to do toward causes. I haven't, in previous holidays, I belong to a lot of different
right
giving campaigns and have done stuff over the years. The holidays, though, tends to make you really stop and focus. And I haven't had a big giving thing as part of Christmas in some time, because it all depends on what's going on, what you're reminded of.
Right.
This would be one of those Christmases,
right,
where you really start to think about, should I be making a package, making gifts available for people who are less fortunate, because you're so much reminded what's going on out there. We're seeing it right now.
It's going to take a lot. It's going to take. I'm kind of shocked, and maybe I don't know because I haven't been in the flow. And forgive me if I have not been. I would assume that there are a lot of efforts similar to what J.J. Watt did with Hurricane Harvey. That there's some GoFundMe pages, some resources where they're raising funds and resources somewhere. And I know that that's hard because people want to identify the true link to giving and not those who are maybe fostering fake profiles and being able to take advantage of those. I'm surprised that a lot more of those are not being pointed anywhere. And is that a result of the ground area that you can't look at Puerto Rico? They probably doesn't have the infrastructure and anyone set up to actually look at that. They're so busy trying to survive. So I'm kind of shocked that we don't see anything like that as much.
Well, we're going to go looking. That's part of the thing. I'm going to go make more efforts to go looking and bring that information to you all too, just in case. That's the thing. I want to see what's a good place for me to make a holiday donation. How's it going to be used? Right. Just the ways to optimize those thoughts of giving here in this holiday. So we will be reminding you, because that's part of what's going on. Get preparing right now, especially after Thanksgiving. People are now, getting ready for Christmas.
Right.
Getting ready for all that. And the holidays and traffic and traveling and all those things are so much a part of all of our mentality. It's just nice to take a moment and think back to those things.
Right.
Concerning the president,
all right,
continuing war with black folks, especially. Kind of some continuing war, but Eminem, I did a posting on Facebook where Eminem is actually pissed because he says, I've been talking shit about him. He won't say anything about me.
Oh, no.
Because I'm a white boy.
What about what about the billionaire ad?
Well, he called him at least, I think, wacky or something.
Oh, that's the best he can do, right?
Yeah, but he sure didn't go after him.
No, he didn't.
He didn't go after him with the
he
same
did not.
kind of passion
Goes with the
as he
weak.
goes after, say, LeVar Ball
Right.
or the NFL players.
Right.
So the president and this whole idea as race, I love this, though, in a way. People say, what do you mean, Mario? You guys, let me tell you, and I'll say it again, progress only comes at those points where you have struggle. At the times where it's good and everything's going good, people are focused differently. And when things are prosperous, everybody's taking vacations, partying, drinking, barbecuing. It's a wonderful time when everything's prosperous. But when things are like this, like it is now, that's when the real progress is made. Right now, as a society, we're confronting sexual harassment, looking at women and women's rights in a whole new way. It's the time. We're also looking at racism in a whole new way. It's the time. And many of these are fostered by the fact that we have to deal with these kind of people in public, like the president, who brings issues like racism, sexism, sexual harassment to the forefront.
Yeah.
So the president is, in that sense. So I don't know. You know, it's like Vic and I talk all the time as observers. We don't have the power to change, right, what's occurring. There's different ways to interpret what it means.
Right.
And one of the things that I say to everybody in all these times of desperation, remind yourself that this is the way progress feels that it is being made. It hurts, it burns, it cuts. This is what it feels like. And right now, with all the issues of sexual harassment and ways that we're dealing with it, we're going to change that in a society. We'll forever behave differently. And that'll be a good thing.
Yep.
Racism will change too.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll forever behave differently. And that too will be a good thing.
Yeah, it is, man. Got to go through the pain and gain. It's not supposed to be easy and logical, you know. Somebody's going to take the risk and stand up. And it's going to seem, the first thing it flirts with is your conditioning of what's the normal. And you realize that your normal was serving a different master. And that you got so, what they would call, I don't want to say that you got comfortable. But usually comfort means just don't worry me. This is not how it's supposed to be. And then you find out the people who were struggling and how bad it was. You kind of feel guilty because you've been ignorant of it. And so you choose to deflect it because you rather not believe it's that close to you. But when it's right there in front of your face, now you have to answer. Now, you don't have to answer to me. You don't have to answer anyone else. I just sit back and say, watch it now because God is watching. It's the only thing I have to say. And I'm still trying to improve on myself and the things I need to focus on. Because it's thankful to be here. We're in a good life. There's a lot of people who don't have this voice, don't have the platform, and they can easily be eaten alive by somebody with power and resources and turned over to make them look like they're guilty. And if you want to see an example like that, just look at the women and how much abuse has gone on through mostly a number of industries across the board, and that they themselves felt powerless. So the idea that they're standing up now kicking some ass, I hope they keep kicking ass for a long time. I want to be a witness to it and say, hoorah, yes, bam, slam them. Over and over again. Matter of fact, do it for the next few decades because you have to look at how long this has been systemic in our society. So at this point right now, I applaud them for standing up. And I just like to see a lot more voices stand up and not the meek and the weak that you can step on all the time.
And so it is. And so it is. Good news, bad news, and other shit. And so some of the bad news continues, some of the other shit continues, but there's also some good news. One of the things that we think is good, but we're struggling with it, you guys, and I don't mind sharing it, Vic, for a quick moment, is with our improved status, it comes around again, as it does so often for us, to our interaction with local community groups.
Right.
But Vic and I have always interacted with local community groups, even from the days we were a DJ service. So it really comes around again.
Yep.
one of the things that's coming around again, and we're glad to acknowledge this, is the world stage here at Leimert Park. The world stage is a world recognized venue for jazz, spoken word. It's legendary here, and founded by a legendary drummer, Billy Higgins, right? Mm-hmm. We had a chance to meet with the executive director, Dwight Tribble, who came by actually to talk about some of the things that were going on there. And so take a look. Victor went down there.
Oh, you just enjoy the music, nothing more. Roberto Miranda. Just searching. It's got a history.
Tell them what we kind of did.
Yeah, so you guys don't understand this. You're not going to see, you didn't see any intro or representation officially. What I was doing is going down to World Stage because it was an evaluation. So once we met.
Because they came by to meet us because they were looking to do some improvements.
Right.
And they reached out to us as a resource for how to best improve what they had at the world stage, how to do better recording, video, and streaming.
And you have to, a lot of people will talk, and I just believe like it's just like going to buy a house. People could tell you all day long all the amenities and everything, but until you go there and check out the surroundings, the community, the facility, you get a better idea of what's happening. So basically, I was just going down there from the perspective of, let me see how it is if I'm just standing there. Because it is a narrow lane, but it's a deep narrow lane. And there is no, the walls are to the left, to the right, that's it. What you see is what you see, and you have to try to figure out how to bring more than just the live performance view, but how can you enhance that? And then how can it transfer over into an empowerment zone? So I did it, and for me, when I met with Dwight, I was more or less just saying, I just want to be a fan. And that's what I did. And I told him, I said, he didn't know I was going to shoot it that way. And then I decided to go up and say, I pointed to the phone and said, this is what I just did with the phone, just to give you an idea. It was the experience. So to me, you have to get the experience before you can give the recommendations, because everybody can come in and tell you, well, you could use this, you could remove this, you could do this. But until you're there and you feel the people, you feel their vibe, you get a better sense, because these are traditionalists. And
that's the point I was making, because as an organization, we have a history. We have reached out to the traditionalists forever.
Right.
Forever. We've reached out to them forever. And this represents another effort where we are, acting in an advisory capacity.
Right.
to the world stage.
Yeah.
They, and it may end up that I end up helping them to design
Right.
their system.
Or at least bringing to bear the alternative, augmenting what they're doing. A lot of times people get into replacement. Sometimes it's addition. And how can you do it in this kind of seamless? And here's the other thing. You got to weigh how much you can do with what you're required to do with other projects. So a lot of times when you're doing this, you're trying to find alternative recommendations for them in lieu of what they absolutely want until they get there. And it's like, to me, it's like social media. A lot of people go like, I'm just going to wait till I get it right and then I'll start posting. I said, that's not necessarily the best way. It's the ultimate way, but you live or die that. And most people who are like that critically think of themselves like a picture that they don't like. We can find things we like about the photo, but if that person says that's not what I want, they're not going to even have leeway on it. And to me, what I thought could do was augment until they get to their ultimate goal. And that was my example, to just kind of keep it simple.
Well, take a look and feel free to write us. Please write the world stage, Dwight Tribble. Write them and tell them you saw this and encourage them. They remember, these are traditional brothers, so we applaud them whenever they take it upon themselves to expand into this world of video and streaming. Very new stuff to them. They're not familiar with this. And so we applaud their efforts. And so Pack Stereo TV, here as always, for the local community. Always willing to help them with ideas for how to best do things, how to do it inexpensively with the best quality. That's one of the things we'll be specifically helping Dwight Tribble with his equipment list, purchasing lists, planning expansions there. But Victor, just look at that wonderful example.
Yeah, it's
Victor did with the phone.
Yeah, the whole idea is that the power is there, and I want to give props out to also Meredith Bill, Lasting Value. He literally was the facilitator and connecting us with Dwight Tribble and the world stage. So to me, you may not get the ultimate, but I truly believe there's a value. You just don't walk away. If you can't do it exactly the way I want to do it, then there's no value. And well, yeah, that might be right. But then you have to demonstrate also what are you doing along the way until you get to your ultimate goal and dream. And most people, once they accomplish a milestone, they find another milestone. So to me, it's the same way with social media. You may not like the social media for all the reasons you believe it's not good, but your legacy and imprint through this medium that we're involved in can only grow. Numbers don't get less. You don't see negative views on videos or photos. They always grow. And you just have to try to lend an outreach to people who look at the world stage and their branding. I told you this before, Mario. The two brands that I think of in Leimert Park is Ben Caldwell and the Chaos Network.
Yes.
And World Stage with Dwight Tribble and the rest of the organization. So they have a brand.
Well, we intend to be part of the mix, just letting you all know.
Yeah.
Everybody, that's the good news. The bad news. And the other shit.